Okay, we are back again. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Booze Brothers. This is a podcast where we try to have honest, no fluff conversations about our various experiences of quitting alcohol. And with me, as always, is my brother Matt. Hello, Matt.
Good evening. Good evening. It's a hot one here in Paris. I'm sure if anybody is in, well, Northern Europe, shall we say, ish, you're probably experiencing the same thing. It's actually finally got hot here. So, yeah, the window's open, but we're ready to go. And as always, a good topic, I think, for tonight.
Super hot here as well, actually, which is weird because it was absolutely freezing last week. It went from kind of Siberia to Sahara in about 2 days. So it's weird, but it's really hot. Windows open. It is, what time is it? 7:45 on a Monday evening, and it's really warm outside, which is not usual for the UK, but we'll take it. We'll take it while it's going. And so good. Excellent. All right. Before we start, I just mentioned, so Matt's volunteering at the Paris Olympics this week, which is sort of cool. So maybe we'll just say a couple of bits on that towards the end of this.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
just chatting about it before we went on air and laughing because I again just said to Matt, this is an amazing experience volunteering in the British Olympic Village and being part of it and being responsible to sort of be there and do all the things that you're expected to do. I just know for a fact that you would never have done that if you were still drinking. There would be no way you would be giving up.
Literally no way. No, I
Yeah.
mean, I fully admit it. Because basically, anyone who's listening, I'm working in the Team GB Performance Lodge. It's a school in Paris that Team GB have taken over. They've turned it into a training center, a place for family and friends to go, a place for the athletes to get away from the Olympic Village and actually relax, train, have some good food. And yeah, saw this opportunity to be a volunteer there, help them out from all sorts of tasks, from clearing up rubbish, sweeping out leaves, to buying picnic tables and talking and looking after family and friends, taking the swimmers to the swimming pool, all sorts of crazy stuff I never in my entire life imagined I'd be doing. And you're absolutely right, Mark. If I was still drinking, I mean, I wouldn't have even considered it. I just the weekend, that's literally my getting fucked time. So no, it's really amazing.
And the thing is, as well, is it's an amazing, life experience, something you'll never forget. And isn't it just incredible what booze actually takes away from us when you think about this as an example? You wouldn't have had that experience. And the only reason you wouldn't have had it is because of fucking booze. And that's quite a good segue, I think, into the
Yeah,
conversation that we wanted to have. And the conversation we wanted to have, which is one which gets brought up by our listeners and the guys and girls who listen both on YouTube and Spotify, which is, and I think it's a question most of us have asked, if we're honest, which is, do I need to stop drinking completely? Do I need to completely abstain from alcohol? Or can I just cut down a little bit? Can I moderate the drinking that I'm doing? And I'm probably going to let you talk a little bit more about this one, Matt, because I think
sure.
you probably have a few things to say about it. But and anyway, I've got some thoughts on the balance of should I cut down, should I quit? But yeah, maybe I'll hand over to you, Matt, and let you talk for a bit, and we'll sort of see where the conversation takes us, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I think the first thing, I want to mention, and we've talked about this many times before, but people who don't need to moderate don't think about moderation. Often we use our father as a good example, and he, for the majority of his life, drank moderately, and I don't think he ever really thought about how much he drank because he knew he wasn't really drinking that much, if you know what I mean. He was always in control, and he was never one to push on to the late hours. And yeah, I think that's the thing. So when you even talk about moderation, you're already suggesting there's an issue there that needs to be addressed, in my opinion. And what I think is really strange about moderation is it's kind of like saying, you know, that thing you've got a real problem with. Yeah, well, you can keep doing it. Just do it less. And as we know, that is, I think it's actually harder than, abstaining. I actually think it's harder than going, right, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't want to live like that anymore. I need to, address that. And the way to address it is stopping doing it. My son has a really annoying habit of biting his nails. It drives me insane. But really he needs to stop doing it, not do it less. And I think that's really where you've got to, get your mind. And I know that sucks. And I know anybody out there thinking about, moderation and abstinence sounds, it's a big, scary word. And actually, I remember looking into this way before I actually gave up drinking. And it was, I know whatever you think of him, disgraced comedian or whatever, I don't know. But Russell Brand actually said this, and he was talking about, abstinence and basically saying, if you're impacted by something or something that you're doing is concerning you, then the best thing is not to do it at all. And I agree with that. I think, if you are sat there thinking, I'm drinking too much, I'm drinking every night or most nights, and when I drink, I open that bottle, I finish it, sometimes I have more, I really wish it could just be a glass. That's what I need to do, or not at all in the week, or let me just have those drinks with my friends. I'm not going to drink at home anymore. You already, you know, you're doing a good thing, right? Because you're thinking about the amount, you're thinking about the quantity, you're starting, and thinking is where it all begins. But the reality is there's always a reason why you might want to do it. You'll always find one, and that's the problem. I did, I would sometimes say, God, I'm not drinking tonight, I drank last night. And it could be something so minor, like someone someone phones and you get some good news, and you just go to your wife, oh, you know what, that it looks like we are going on holiday with our friends, let's yeah, we have a glass of wine, and you're looking for those little hooks. So so moderation is really, really tough. And actually, I take my hat off to anybody who can moderate, anybody who's said, I need to cut down and does and sticks to it, well done. However, my honest opinion and my honest experience is that it just doesn't work. It's just, you've got that monkey that's still there going, it's like I don't know, you need to cut back, but you've got an addiction or a habit. And the best thing to do is, if you've got a bad habit, is get rid of that bad habit,
Yeah.
not just make it a bit less. So a
Yeah.
really roundabout the houses way of saying, in my view, I think moderation is very tough. I think for those who can do it, I take my hat off to you. But the reality is, I think if you are at that problem stage of drinking, or really you're concerned or worried, the best way is to start to look at, well, how can I stop doing this?
Yeah, and I think there's a few well-known lessons that we've learned about this. So one of them is, and I love this phrase, and maybe you'll remember who said it in his book. I can't remember, but and it certainly applied to me. And it was, the only drink that I really have any control over is the first drink. In other words, if I'm completely sober, then I'm kind of able to make at least, I guess, an informed and non-corrupted decision about whether I'm going to have that drink. Now, for me, because of the way my brain chemistry works, when I have that first drink, something changes in my brain
Yeah.
that basically says I want another one. And really, after two drinks, I was kind of fucked. It was a lottery. I could go one way or another. I could, after two drinks, it could easily spin out of control. And so what happens when you talk about when you talk about moderation, if you struggle to moderate, which really is our audience, if we're honest, and,
Hmm.
and and was us,
Hmm.
it's this weird thing happens where I used to do this thing where I would even say to my wife, 4 drinks is the magic number for me. I can have 4 drinks in an evening and I'm kind of okay. I can drink 4 glasses of wine. I
Hmm.
could, which is quite a lot when you think about it.
Hmm.
think the definition of binge drinking for a man is 5 drinks. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
basically saying is if I'm almost binge drinking, I'm okay.
I'm
But
all right, mate. Yeah.
yeah, but for me, 4 drinks was fine. And I used to have this thing where I would say, okay, it's like, I have four cookies from the jar. I'm going to have 4 drinks. And of course, maybe I would do it the first time around. But what you do by saying that to yourself is you create a dynamic whereby you are not getting something. You build alcohol up to be the thing that you most want. And by moderating, it's like, you can't have that extra one. You can't have the thing you really want. You can't have it. You can't have it. And it's like you said, it's the thing that tempts you the most. You put it into your mouth and you then try to make decisions about whether or not to continue drinking. Now, where I got to is when I completely flipped that on its head. And instead of thinking about what I was losing, i.e., I was losing the opportunity to have more alcohol, I then started to really focus on the things that I was gaining. And that came
Mhm.
about when I went through periods of non-drinking. What am I getting back? And then you just fill the room with, well, my health, my
Mm,
sleep, I'm losing weight. I'm getting back my confidence. I'm not getting that awful anxiety when the phone rings and you've had a
mm,
skin full, you don't want to deal with the world. I'm getting back my relationship with my family. I'm getting back my relationship with my friends. I'm getting my career back. I'm starting to do stuff that I'd never done before. And actually, that's why I sort of started this thing out with saying, what is it about alcohol that you think it gives you and you lose out on? An interesting anecdote that, because the weather's lovely here in the UK at the moment.
yeah.
So we have been, my wife and I, and my 2 sons, who both ironically have now got bar jobs. They both work behind the bar in local pubs. We've been going to the pub for early drinks at the weekend. So lovely evening, you're in the beer garden and you sit outside, and my wife has a glass of Prosecco normally, or fizzy wine, or whatever it is. And of course, I just have the non-alcoholic beer, the zero alcohol beer. And it is really fascinating because I have a lovely time. In fact, it's great. You think, there's something, you're out, you're socializing, and I also get the added benefit of knowing that I'm not going to be doing stupid shit, that I'm not going to lose control, that I'm not going to be incapacitated, I'm not going to spend a load of money, and all the amazing things that we've both done and achieved by, quitting alcohol. It's the upside. And I think that's the journey really that you have to go on. I think you've got to
Yeah,
reverse the dynamic. You've got to move this from I'm losing the alcohol to I'm fucking gaining this massive, huge improvement in my world and my life and my relationships and my health. And why the fuck would I not do all of that? Because actually, when you wear sobriety for a few years, I go back to the thing, and I'm not having if anybody smokes, you smoke, you smoke, you smoke. But if you're a non-smoker and you drive past people sort of huddled outside office blocks, smoking in the freezing cold, and you think, why the fuck would anybody do that? It's bad
yeah,
for you. That's kind of where you get to with boozing. And when you see the way people behave after they've had a few, it just becomes more and more.
yeah, yeah.
Upside just increases.
I witnessed it on Saturday. Actually, I was very fortunate to go and see the fencing at the Grand Palais in Paris as part of the Olympics. Never watched fencing before in my life. Didn't know anything about it, but I can tell you what, it's a really, really excellent sport, and seeing it live was absolutely mind blowing. But big group of French lads came in a little bit late. They came in at sort of 20 past 7. Everything had started at 7. What, wasn't a problem really at all. But they came in and they sat down, and instantly there's just this intense waft, a reek of alcohol and tobacco. And immediately I thought, they've been out all afternoon. They've been on the beers, and look, fine. There's, many people do that, live a perfectly normal life. That's absolutely cool. But their behavior was pretty bad. And to the point where someone did say something, they were shouting out the girl's name. This girl's like going for an Olympic gold medal, you know, they don't know who she is, yet they're screaming her name in when it's dead quiet, when it's, you're supposed to be concentrating, a bit like tennis. And and just the back chat, there were children there and things like that, and some of the language wasn't great. And you kind of just think, you know what sort of image does that present? Is that what you want to do? Is that how you want to be? Did they enjoy it as much as I did? I don't know. Is that necessary? But just some things that you trust me, when you get rid of those, it's absolutely fantastic. And you're right, it's about what you gain. And you and I have been doing this for some time now, and we've maybe we should revisit, write our lists again around what we've gained. The lists are big. What we've lost, you know it's an empty page, really, to be honest. So
A big,
focus on that.
yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I've said this before. The promises that alcohol make to you are false. It's never what you think it represents is never the reality of what it is. And I think it's done this incredible job of convincing the world that it is the thing that you need to socialize. It isn't.
Mm,
And that that you can't have a great time unless you're drinking. But like you said, like that group of lads that were at the fencing, it's horrific, really. It's awful behavior. And yeah, it is the sort of benefits, like we said, of just not putting the alcohol in your mouth,
mm.
and the relief that you suddenly experience, just that relief of not having to worry about driving. I remember the first few years after I quit drinking, almost wanting to be stopped and breathalyzed just so I could
Yeah,
look, how many of us, if we're really honest, have driven when we're on the line. It
especially the morning after. I mean, that was,
ruins
for
life.
me,
Yeah,
scary, to be honest, sometimes.
yeah. Go on the internet and Google, DUI on YouTube, and there's just some awful footage of
Mm.
ordinary regular people who are going to lose their license, are going to go to jail. They're all over the fucking internet, because they got busted for drinking and driving. They've ruined their life for the sake of a few beers or glasses of wine, and for the sake of a false promise of what a great time really looks like. And it isn't until you stop that you realize what a great time looks like. And the thing is with great times is it's not just limited to that night out. You get a great time the next morning because you did something. You went outside, you went for a run, you did something that feeds the soul, that nourishes you, sort of, yeah, nourishes the soul.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
describe it. And that's what we want for you. So I don't know if we cracked that one, but I do think the point of focus on what you gain, not what you lose, is a big takeaway for me.
Yeah, definitely agree. Yeah, and I think as we always say, do what's right for you. It's not an easy journey. We do know that, but from our experience, and we really can only talk from our experience, is that moderation didn't work. We tried it. Both of us tried it on many occasions. Probably tried it together. Should we just have a couple tonight? Yeah, yeah. Go easy. 3 o'clock in the morning, we sat there watching something awful on television with a whiskey in our hand. You know, just look into the ways, and look on the internet. There's so much out there about people inspiring stories, and I took a lot from those, famous people, if you like, or other people like us, and I think they will all say the same thing. But you know make that decision, and stick to it, and you can reap the benefits. And you know don't think that life is about the things you think about. I think when you are drinking, life is about achievement, and that achievement can be anything. It can be painting a bloody wall. It can be going and helping someone out. It can be what I'm doing at the moment. I'm not getting paid. It wasn't like some really difficult interview process, but I put myself out there, and I feel, you know, proud of what I've already achieved, and I think that is a human thing as well. I've seen many people who are successful in all sorts of areas, sport, business, and they talk about those achievements. It's never the kind of metal trophy itself. It's never the, you know, the sort of millions or whatever. It's about, you know, having done, and that satisfaction of doing that. And I think that's something you get. I know it's something you get when you decide to stop drinking. So you know, do what you can, watch what you can, educate yourselves, because it's a great journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, at the end of the day, if drinking is just not at all problematic to you in any way, shape, or form, you don't need to worry about it. But if you've thought about, should I quit? And almost certainly it is a problem to you. And the definitions of alcoholism now are pretty sober, if you pardon the pun, reading, because they essentially, the general gist of it is that, continuing to do something even though it's disruptive or it's causing you or others harm.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, if you're getting hammered too often and it is impacting your life, then it is harming you, it is harming others, and you are continuing to do it regardless. What we're saying is consider a different way of living and consider sobriety, because it gives you so much more than it takes away. And we'll do an episode on what does it give you compared to
yeah,
what you lose, and maybe socializing and living without alcohol. Maybe we'll do a conversation on that. But I think for now we'll leave it there.
yeah.
Thanks as always for listening. Please do like, comment, share, press all the
Subscribe.
things you're supposed to do on social media. And yeah, really appreciate it. Appreciate all the feedback. And yeah, for now, never quit quitting. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Goodbye, everyone.